Hey, how's it going, Summoners? I'm really happy to see y'all again. My name is Nathan Ning, and I'll be your host for our weekly news update. This video is perfect for any of you that are out of the loop or need a refresher in regards to the latest League of Legends news. I'll cover the important content and exciting news that you need to know about. If you enjoy recaps like these or want to see content that'll help you improve your gameplay, make sure to subscribe to our channel. That being said, let's get started with the video. We'll kick things off with this weekly news update with the most important upcoming changes. If you're not aware, there are some mid-scope champion reworks just around the corner. These types of changes don't completely rework a champion, but still make substantial changes to a champion's current kit. Basically, champions retain their abilities, with some mechanics removed, reworked, or added altogether. These changes are a bit bigger than a simple buff or nerf. The upcoming champion reworks you can expect are for Olaf and Swain. We'll start off by talking about what to expect for Olaf. He's expected to hit the live servers by patch 12.9 with some testing periods on the PvE before then. The main goals of Olaf's rework are to address the fact that he's the least deeply played champion in the game, has suffered significantly from the system changes in Season 12, and that he's difficult to balance because of his performance in competitive play. If Olaf is a character that somebody plays, it's most likely that he makes up a very low percentage of games being played. In other words, outside of players who main him, he's not really picked much at all. This, unfortunately or fortunately for some, has been the case for many years at this point. Whenever Olaf ends up slightly overtuned, he begins to dominate pro play and as a result, has consistently been balanced to be a little bit weaker in order to compensate. To touch on some system changes, plenty of fighters haven't really taken well to the adjustments, but Olaf in particular has had trouble finding his footing. As a result, Riot wants to add excitement to his gameplay, remove power that's particularly strong in pro play like his ultimate and clear speed, and finally allow him to be able to better utilize Juggernaut items. As a result of this rework, Olaf should retain his jungle presence but also end up a much stronger top laner than before. Now let's quickly go over the rundown of the actual rework. His base stats are receiving significant buffs that shouldn't be ignored, most notably his AD per level. Given his insane attack speed, bonus AD is a big deal. Next is his passive, which will grant its maximum bonus when at 30% health rather than at the brink of death. The bonus attack speed will scale with level, but in return, it'll grant a passive lifesteal as well. For his abilities, his Q will begin shredding armor. That's a gigantic change, but it is receiving some changes that make it less spammable, such as a higher cooldown and higher minimum cast range. Olaf's W is receiving a rework. When cast, it will reset his basic attack timer. In addition, he'll gain a shield that scales with his missing health. Since his passive provides lifesteal, the bonus healing from this ability will be removed, but the cooldown will also be reduced. The end result is a much more interactive ability, one that you can cast for its shield and damage boost. A lower cooldown also makes it much more rewarding to build ability haste on this upcoming reworked Olaf. A final change is to his ultimate. He'll no longer lose his bonus resistances when casting it and the duration will be reduced. However, Olaf will be able to indefinitely extend Ragnarok's duration by basic attacking or casting his E on an enemy champion. The potential for him to be immune to crowd control for the entire teamfight is scary to think about, and I'm sure Chaos is bound to follow up his upcoming rework. As a follow-up, let's talk about Swain's rework next. His changes provide plenty of quality of life changes along with one major gameplay change. A lot of the adjustments are simple buffs, but it's safe to say that his power elsewhere has been shifted around in various ways. Starting off with his passive, Swain won't be able to pull CC'd enemies anymore. This effect will be moved to his E, so the real change here is that he won't be able to get a free follow-up off an ally crowd control. However, Swain's healing from soul fragments is going up, and the bonus health gain from each one is also significantly increasing. As a side note, a big theme of these changes for Swain are that he'll likely rely less on his teammates and have more agency for himself. Next, his Q is receiving some damage adjustments, but those are all subject to change. However, it looks like the cooldown and mana cost will most likely be reduced. Swain's W is also expected to receive a mana cost reduction. In addition, if he hits an enemy with it, they'll be revealed similarly to Twisted Fate's ultimate, showing off nearby allies as well. Like I mentioned earlier, his E will be recastable to pull an enemy champion who was hit by the initial brute. During his ultimate, the cooldown will be reduced by a certain amount. What's gonna change the most is Swain's ultimate. Just like Olaf, there are gonna be conditions that'll make it possible for him to use it indefinitely. Following up some huge cooldown decrease, his ultimate will also apply a fading slow on enemies. This will help him play his ideal game, one where he can stay in range of most enemies and act as a drain tank battle mage. His ultimate will now include a third resource, Demon Power. Each second his ultimate is active will drain from the resource, and he'll be able to replenish it by staying in range of enemy champions. After 3 seconds, he'll be able to recast the ultimate for the iconic nuke. However, doing so will not end his ultimate. This provides way more freedom. When you need the burst damage, you can use it. There's no trade-off anymore for releasing it early, which should allow Swain to continue playing aggressively and getting in the enemy's faces. So yeah, it's okay to blow his burst early. That wraps up the upcoming changes for the reworks. I want to encourage you guys all to check out our website ProGuides.com if you're interested in quickly learning Swain or Olaf following their upcoming reworks. They sound like they'll be broken, and if you pick them up quickly, the odds of winning your rankings will go up significantly. Granted, they're not being banned. Moving on with the video, let's talk about the upcoming skins. Coming soon, you can expect to see plenty of new skins. If you're interested in testing them out, you can even head over to the PBE and provide your own feedback. With that being said, these are the skins that are coming up. Gangplank the Betrayer, Sea Dog Yasuo, Solar Eclipse Kale, Solar Eclipse Sejuani, Solar Eclipse Sivir, Lunar Eclipse Aatrox, Lunar Eclipse Senna, and a Prestige edition of that same skin. These skins provide a dark thematic. If you love being a villain, I heavily suggest giving them a test run on the PBE. Otherwise, make sure you save up the RP, that way you can purchase them on release. Also, it's worth noting that these skins will feature new textures, models, visual effects, sound effects, and recall animations. Solar Eclipse Sivir is said to be the legendary skin, so it'll include new animations and even a new voiceover. That being said, let me ask you our question of the day. Which skin do you think has the best design? I can't say it's objectively the best, but I'm personally a big fan of High Noon Lucian. It's very well done, adds a captivating theme, and honestly makes me enjoy playing him more. Let me know your answers in the comments down below, and let's finish up the video. Finally, let's talk about the Champions queue. Overall, it's addressing a ton of concerns brought up by pro players. As it's new, however, the chances of it being perfect were near impossible. Riot has already been making moves and responding to the varying feedback that high-level players have provided. For players who have religiously been following the Champions queue, a big upcoming change is that Riot plans to skip Split 3 of the Champions queue. The reasoning behind this is that players, after getting kicked out of the season or in between splits, are often taking time to either boot camp or rest. Since this is healthy behavior, Riot wants to encourage players to continue what they're already doing. Instead, Split 3 of Champions Queue will act as an off-season between LCS splits. Also, the start date of Champions Queue for the summer season will be adjusted to May 31st to August 21st to better align with the start of the upcoming LCS summer split. One more thing pro players have wanted to address is matchmaking. In particular, they want a more sophisticated MMR system. Their argument is that players should be rewarded based on LP skill discrepancy between players. In addition, they simply want the actual matchmaking and team balancing to be improved. Riot's dev team is currently looking for solutions, but it is noted that queue times will be increased because of this. Most pro players are in favor of longer queue times if it increases the quality of their games. Speaking of queue times, there's a big issue with the role disparity and a limited player base. Riot attempted to address this previously by allowing an influx of players to join the server following the Spring Proving Grounds qualifiers. Unfortunately, when there's a large skill difference between players, issues are bound to arise. Thus, Riot is planning on raising the minimum solo queue rank requirement to be Grandmaster. This will help uphold the competitive integrity of the server, but also increase queue times. One thing that pro player Darshan has said and has suggested is performance monitoring. Consistently poor performances hurts the quality of games, and while it is rough, he suggests that players should be removed if they're consistently underperforming. This is definitely something worth discussing, and I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. One final change that's upcoming is an adjustment to how voice comms work in games. At the moment, players are actually opted into voice comms by default. That's right, by default, the voice comms won't be on, and individual players must choose to turn them on in order to access them. Riot's intent is to allow players to be more comfortably practicing the way they'd like to. Although this topic might seem straightforward in many ways, there's definitely the question of toxicity, grudges, and interpersonal relationships. Pro players also might dedicate already a lot of time to voice comms with their own teams and might look to Champions Queue as a way to solely practice mechanics. With all that being said, the Champions Queue is intended to be moldable. As players continue to provide more feedback and as the landscape changes, we can expect to see more adjustments made over time. That concludes our weekly news update. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and also check out the description for a link to join our Discord. It'd be really great to see you guys there, and by joining, you'll also be the first to hear about any future promotions or giveaways that we host. Until next time, hope you guys all take care, stay safe, and stay healthy. Have a wonderful day. Peace.